Creventic organised 3 series. The 24-hour Endurance Series, powered by Hankook, which in 2018 is renamed to be the 24-hour GT Endurance Series. The 24-hour Touring Car Series, powered by Hankook, and the 24-hour Prototype Series, powered by Hankook. All 3 of these championships are FIA approved, and late in 2017, the new rules for 2018 were approved again by the FIA. Later in this programme, we'll be looking at the 24-hour Touring Car Series from 2017. We're going to start with the Prototype Series and their first event, the 3x3 Hours of Dubai. Dubai in the United Arab Emirates will play host to the first ever prototype races organised by Creventic. Not a championship event, this is a demonstration race. It's being packaged up on the same weekend as the Creventic organised 24-hour series, and the circuit is happy to have these events.
We're winning more awards for hosting this event within the Dubai Sports Council, and we've been rated highly among the top annual sporting events in Dubai, and that just only says how good the event is.
It's a 16-car grid for these demonstration races, 3 3-hour races this weekend, and the first one is about to get underway. Lights off, and the Ligiers, Wolf, Radical, Normas and Ginettas are on their way, making history at the Dubai Autodrome. The Optimum number 54 car leads the field into the first corner, even though that car wasn't in optimal condition just yet.
Yeah, so at the start I was struggling with a bit of front tyre temp, so just first couple of laps I just kept trying to work the front tyres really, just to get them up to temperature, so the car was fairly balanced.
In racing, there's no such thing as a position that is secure. The 52 already back in the pit and needs an hour's worth of repairs. Meanwhile, the 54 in danger of losing the lead.
We started on 3rd place on the grid in today's race. Got a good start, got up to 2nd, and had a battle with the Optimum racing car, the other G57. It was a great battle. Me and Bradley Ellis, who's another experienced racing driver, we had a good battle, and I got in the lead and then had a little spin, which is my own fault, unfortunately, but it happens in racing. Got back, kind of caught him back up again, and couldn't really get past him. Didn't quite find the right move or anything to get past him.
Things go wrong for the 54 car after they've had their pit stop.
Just started my stint. We were chasing down the P1 Ligier, and I went a little wide just onto a curb, which is usually no big thing. The car came off the curb, there was a small bump, then I lost power. More importantly, I lost the ECU. So actually I was completely blind. What I didn't know was that the power drop was so severe, it also knocked out the water pump. So we actually had an overheating engine.
Mike Simpson was leading the race, but a puncture has taken that lead away from the 57 Graf Ginetta. And the CN class leader, the 82 Craft Racing Norma, loses its lead when it needs to be towed in under a code 60. The 48 car was hoping to take over the lead, but there wasn't quite enough time in the code 60. The overall leader also feeling the results of the code 60s.
It's a very good, difficult end of race for me, because a lot of code 60 in the race, and the tire pressure is falling down, and it's difficult.
But difficult or not, the number 12 will go into the history books as the first prototype to win a Creventic Series endurance race. It's the Ligier, the number 12 car, that takes the top step of the podium. Their class competitors, Hofor-Racing, are second with their number 48 Ligier. Third overall in the first of 3 demonstration races is the Century Motorsport Ginetta number 51. In the classes, Graf takes the P3 class with the number 12 car, Hofor-Racing second with the 48. In the G57 category, the Century 51 wins the class, CWS number 55 second, and the Graf Ginetta number 57 is third. The CN class is won by IDEC Sport Racing number 17, the 85 Craft is second, and the 81 AUH third. There are 2 more races in this debut event for the Prototype Series, and they'll roll toward the start line in the order that they've finished the first race. It's a tight battle to the first corner, with the numbers 12, 48, 51 and 55 all trying to get to that first apex as the leader. It's the 51 Century Motorsport Ligier, who started third, who does claim the top spot overall. It's a great thing about endurance racing. A bad starting position can be made up during the race.
We started from, I think I don't know if we were last or second to last from the G57s, but I had a really good start. Found some good pace and managed to get up to P1, I think within the 4th lap.
No sign of the 45 car in this second race, as it was sold after the first one. But the second Avalon Wolf has stopped on track.
There are some things that happen into the engine cover and broken the oil belt. For this reason, we bring more time to clean everything and change belt, and then the car is now ready to race in the next race, to this afternoon.
The 57 has taken the lead.
You could see that he was struggling with rear grip, quite heavy on the back of the car, so passed him and gapped him. It's it's a 1 hour race, not a 10-minute sprint.
A spin for the 56 Ginetta.
Just coming out the last turn and just lost the back end. And didn't touch the wall, but I can't see what was wrong.
No look for the race leader either, a gearbox failure for them. This hands Bradley Ellis in the 54 Optimum Motorsport Ginetta the chance to claim victory. It's a different looking result for race 2 than we saw in the first outing here in the 3x3 hours of Dubai. The race winner was the 54 Optimum G57, second for Cox Racing number 48 at P3 Ligier, and the CWS number 55 was third. That's another G57 Ginetta. In the classes, the G57 of Optimum and CWS claimed first and second in the G57 category. The Simpson Motorsport number 52 is third. The P3 class has the Cox Racing Ligier taking the top step, with the Graf number 12 second in class. The CN category has 3 different cars on the podium. The Normet number 85 has brought Craft Racing the class win. The Ligier number 7 of iTech is second, and the Radical 81 of AUH Motorsport completes the top 3. The third race on the Dubai Autodrome is about to get underway. It's the final 3 hours of this introductory event for the Prototype Series. Lights out, and James Winslow's not relaxing in the 52 Simpson Ginetta. He's gone up from 5th to 2nd before he's even got to the first corner. Action from the front to the back of the field, and things can go wrong as the 80 and 85 collide.
I was trying to make a move on a guy. There was a gaggle of 4 cars. I cut onto the inside, and he cut inside as well, and left me nowhere to go. So I think a racing incident. It happens. That's racing, you know.
Plenty of action on the track, every position being fought over. It's getting dark here in the Emirates and the lights need to go on, and that's a problem for the Optimum 54. No lights and it's out of the race. Khaled is enjoying his first race weekend in a Ginetta G57.
I love the car. It's really nice to drive. It's more like a P2 car than a P3. It's just like on rails. I didn't get any practice or quali. I got my drive in the race, so it was good fun.
After 3 hours of competition, racing from daylight into darkness, the number 12 Ligier takes its second win of the weekend. Eric Trullier, Frank Matelli and Edward Lewis Browner have claimed the top spot for Graf. Peter Cox and Nico Pronk second position for the 3rd time this weekend in their 48 Ligier. Ewan and Daniel Mackay in the 51 Century Motorsport Ginetta in 3rd position. The Century number 51 taking the win in the G57 class, with the Graf number 57 and the CWS number 55 Ginettas 2nd and 3rd respectively. 1st and 2nd overall also take the P3 class 1st and 2nd positions. The Graf number 12 is the winner, Cox number 48 in 2nd. In the CN category, it's the Radical 81 of AUH Motorsport taking home the Class PRM Chronographs trophy. iDeck number 17 2nd, Avalon 46 in 3rd. The prototypes will be back later in the year at Spa. Next we go racing with the touring cars. For the first endurance race for the touring cars in 2017, the FIA-approved 24-hour endurance series powered by Hankook heads for Silverstone. This is a 24-hour race straight through, non-stop, but your expectations of a good finish may be low if you've had non-stop problems up until now.
We've burned out 4 gearboxes, it might even be 5, and we've rebuilt them all and replaced them, and we keep having problems. So We rebuilt the gearbox last night, finished at 2 o'clock in the morning, ran it in warm-up this morning, and this one had a problem as well. So this morning, after warm-up, the gearbox has come out, swapped the gearbox, modified the cooling system again, and now it's fingers crossed. We made it with 1 minute to go to the pit lane closing. So this is completely untried, untested, and we don't know if we fix the problem.
Chris Wilson knows he's created a problem.
I made a stupid schoolboy error. With lots of years of racing experience, I gave it too much power on the warm-up lap and on very, very cold tyres, and unfortunately just touched the grass, and that was it. I was history. I was in the wall.
The race is on, the battle is on. The two teams holding back in the first few laps. 24 hours left, of course, to make up for lost time. Other teams, though, have a very different approach.
For me, I think it's also still very important to make the positions early in the race, because then you set yourself up good moving forward. So yeah, I think it is important to make up those positions early on. Driving the car on the ragged edge can cause a spin, and sometimes you can't always avoid being involved. A Swedish TCR car ran wide, and when he came back onto the track, he was completely out of control and just hit me in the side of the car. Fortunately, we had no damage, which is amazing. It was a really big hit. I know he suffered quite serious damage and spent nearly half an hour in the pit box. But you know, that's how it goes. TGF GEVA Ginetta is in the pits for quick repairs.
First of all, we struggled with fuel pump during the warming up lap, so I switched to between fuel pumps, and from that moment the car was running well again for probably 5-6 laps, and then we start losing power, and yeah, it looks like we just missed first one cylinder, and second we lose the second cylinder, so we drove on 4 cylinders. So yeah, we're a bit unlucky during the first stint of the race already.
It's time for some night racing.
It was a big learning curve. First time out in the dark, and it was, but it was okay. I was catching the synchro and going into Village Corner. I pulled over to the right-hand side, tried to brake alongside him into the corner, and he turned in, and it's just one of those things. And we live to fight another day.
When you're racing for 24 hours, every team has to think about their catering. Team Vanquish, with a rather different approach, they brought a chip shop on wheels.
Although it does look like a chippy food truck, obviously, it's not. Lottie is actually a chef in a very good hotel. And she did us a menu before the weekend. She did some investigation to see what would be good and for each team member. And as I said, it's a very, very balanced menu. We have lots of vegetables, lots of fruits, lots of high-protein food, as well as snacks that are suitable for endurance racing. So there's been actually a great mix, a real good mix of food. I've eaten better than I do at home.
So why this food truck?
We have some friends, a guy called Andy Hankook who's done lots of 24-hour racing. He said that one thing that was very important is that the drivers are always fed, always got plenty of fluid and hydrated well, but that also extends to the team. Drivers are eating slightly different to what the team do for high energy, things to keep us going and alert during the night, that sort of thing. So yeah, we thought it was very important, so we invested some good money and we've got everything covered for the weekend.
In order to reinforce the team spirit, many teams, including this one, have times that they all eat together. The battle for the overall lead mainly between cars 107, 216 and 303, and it's now the 100 Blekemolen car that is in that lead position.
It's just about luck. As drivers, we've got to keep out of trouble and keep the car on the black stuff, and we've just got to cross our fingers and make sure that everything lasts. I think last year the engine blew at 20 hours into the race, so you can never say never until the last lap.
However, most teams know that regardless where you are now, it really means nothing.
We were very excited. We are still quite far from the end of the race. With 8 hours left, so we were okay. We were happy, but not too confident. I mean, 8 hours is still a long race.
The A3 class leader has found out the hard way.
We had a 6-lap lead. Unfortunately, the wheel stud broke, and we have to be towed in. It took us quite a while to get everything sorted again, but the car is running fine again, and we're gaining on the leader again. But it's still quite some time to go, so everything can happen.
As the daylight returns to the English countryside, the marshals get the 137 Moss Motorsport BMW back into the race. No such luck for the 303 Seat. After repeated problems with their turbo, their car is out of the race. Niall Murray with smoke in the cockpit.
I thought it was just a lock-up at the last corner because I did lock up front tyre, so I thought the smoke was just that. Then going in the main straight, it was gone, and as soon as I turned into Copse, I looked down the camera, the rear view camera, and it's just black smoke, so I just drove straight for the marshal post then and stopped the car, pulled the extinguisher and got out.
Having a trouble-free race isn't the only way to win a class. With perseverance, even a problematical race can turn out well.
We've changed engines, we've changed rear axles, and we never thought we'd be in this position, but we've kept going, and the team have been fantastic, and looks like we're going to get the result that they deserve.
Not long to go before the checkered flag, and things have gone wrong for the 216 Modena Seat. A touch with the 174 Lotus, both cars out of the race, both drivers okay. After an incredible 444 laps in the lead, Team Bleekemolen win the Hankook 24 Hours of Silverstone. At the finish, the number 100 has a 5-lap lead over Pitlane Competizione in second. The 216 Modena car crashed close to the end, but the 217 sister car has taken home the BRM trophy for 3rd position overall. And here are the class results. From the bottom up, in the TCR class, Team Bleekemolen win with their Seat Leon TCR. In Cup 1, the win goes to the number 154 BMW of QSR. The A2 category go to Team Sally Racing, who win with the number 52 Renault Clio. The number 136 BMW of Moss Motorsport UK take home the trophy for the SP3 GT4 class. And the Honda Civic Type R of Synchro Motorsports wins the A3 category. More races to come from this championship. Next, we'll be in France. The Creventic 24-hour series have visited France on numerous occasions. In 2017, the GT series were competing in the 24 Hours of Paul Ricard. But for the Touring Car Endurance series, it's a brand new event at the Circuit de Nevers, the Hankook 12 Hours of Magny-Cours.
Every time we are looking for circuits, we are looking for new, challenging, competitive circuits. And Magny-Cours is one of the circuits that was on the list. And we had the possibility to come here, and we achieved it also to come here.
Clever tactics from the 107 Seat team of Monlau competition gains them pole position.
It was perfect. Like in the first half hour, we didn't go out to the track, and then we made like 2 laps and we make the pole position. So it was perfect.
2 warm-up laps and we're ready to go racing on this 4.4 kilometre long former Formula 1 circuit. Lights are out and everyone rushes towards the first corner. Not a centimetre of track being unused. It's a great start for the 107 Monlau Seat, keeping the lead from pole position. Then the 122 Audi of Pitlane Competizione, but it's not a convincing lead. The Italian team knocking on the door of first position and challenging the Spanish race leader. There are battles right throughout the field. The 2 Swiss teams, Capricorn and TTC Racing, disputing 8th position, and it's an enjoyable fight.
Das Battle war sehr gut. Es war fair und die TCR sind alle gleich schnell. Darum ist es sehr interessant, so ein Battle zu haben.
Claudio Trufa telling us there, it's interesting to have these battles with cars that have pretty much identical performance. The 303 Seat has to stay alert when the 125 goes off track.
I didn't think he was coming back on again. He went off and I thought he was going to stay off, but he managed to hold it together through the sand trap and back onto the track in front. So yeah, he did well to hold that together.
12 hours the drivers need to keep their cars pointing in the right direction. But even if you manage that, technical problems can still take the race away from you.
We have an issue with the gearbox. We think it's a differential, something broke in the gearbox. It's really a pity because we just have about 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers on the gearbox and it shouldn't break.
And never be without your Loctite.
We lost four studs at the front left wheel. The wheel came loose of the car and we had to go to the gravel. The stud had to be locked with some Loctite, and on the front wheels there was no Loctite. So it's the new car. On the rear wheel, the Loctite was present, but not on the front one. So I have to discuss with the manufacturer.
The 24-hour touring car endurance series, along with its sister series, attracts drivers from all over the world to compete against each other. But what motivates them to race in the first place?
I think there's a challenge. We're not allowed to run around the woods and hunt wild boar anymore. Well, not very often. And I think it's a way to challenge yourself. And personally, I like challenging myself by jumping into a new team, in a new car, maybe on a new track like I've done today, and doing a really good job. And getting the car at the allocated time with the right fuel and no contact and no mistakes. I love the challenge of it.
Being under racing pressure actually relaxes GM.
It's like a meditational state. I'm probably at my most relaxed when I'm in the car, and because you're not thinking about anything else. You're not thinking about, all right, what am I going to have for dinner, or what should I do on work on Monday morning? All you're thinking about is the next corner and the next braking point and the next car you're overtaking. And I find it incredibly relaxing. But the challenge of coming here and racing and the joy of maybe getting on the podium, I'm trying not to smile because I love it.
The 205 GC automobile comes in on the end of a tow rope.
I was overtaken by the Ginetta, which I saw, and then I went back to my line, and I didn't know that somebody was following the Ginetta. I wanted to pass me too, so he hit me, and he pushed me outside. It was the Audi outside, and the starter of the engine didn't work anymore, so it was quite heavy to go back to the track and restart the engine. When I came in the pit lane, the engine was going again, because when I was towed away by the truck, I could start the engine.
The 205 rejoins the race, but the 122 of Pit Lane Competizione has had to throw in the towel. Earlier they had to deal with the wrong brake pads, and now after contact the gearbox is too damaged to repair.
We were in a good position, we were fighting for some points, but now here we are. So we will be fight another time, and for the podium and for the first place, for sure.
Remember, Monlau Competition started this race from pole, and an hour before the end, they're still leading and have a 2-lap gap. No celebrations just yet.
The race finished with the checked flag, so because in the last race we were really good too, but we broke the gearbox. The last race in Silverstone, so we are waiting to the end.
Red Camel Jordan.nl second in the TCR class. It's their team strategy that has pushed them up the timing screen.
Yeah, it's been good, good last 6 hours. I think the main difference is that the pit stops. So we've just got the times through, and we spent the least amount of time in the pits than any of the other cars. So big congratulations to the team for their pit work. It's really helped us move up to where we are now, second place.
9 o'clock in the evening, just as it's getting dark, and with almost no brake pads left, the number 107 Seat Leon from the Spanish team wins the race. After a hard-fought half a day of racing, Monlau Competition take the win of the Hankook 12 Hours of Magny-Cours. 3 laps between them and the 303 Red Camel in second position. Third, the SP3 GT4 class winner, the number 178 Ginetta of CWS Racing. And in the class results, the Monlau Seat is back on the top step of the TCR class, Red Camel and Bas Koeten second and third respectively. Confirming the win in SP3 GT4 for CWS and their 178 Ginetta, the Vortex 205 second. The 226 of Sam Speed sadly didn't get to the end of the race. Belgian team QSR takes home the win in A3, their number 154 BMW, ahead of the 147 of RH Race Engineering. And the sole diesel-powered car, the Winkler Tuning 167 BMW, wins the D1 diesel class and was 9th overall. The weekend at Magny-Cours was indeed magnificent, and there are more great races to follow. This weekend, this town not too far away from Barcelona will have some extra nighttime sounds to enjoy as we're here for the Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona. During qualifying, the NM Racing team set the best lap from the whole grid.
We're starting from the pole, but we know that this doesn't mean that we will win. For sure, we are one of the cars that we can win. We can be in the podium, but we have to fight for it really hard.
The race will not be decided early on.
There's so many cars who could win this, and there's so many mistakes that can happen out there. It's not going to be a weather issue, it's probably just going to be a driver issue. After 18 to 20 hours, we're going to see who's actually got a chance in winning this, and it's all going to come together the last 4 to 6 hours.
The warm-up laps are completed. All eyes on the lights at the start line. Lights out, and 40 cars in 5 different classes head down the first hill towards the first corner. Looks pretty tranquil and calm to start with, but by the time we get to corner number 2, cautious and eager drivers not mixing well.
The Ginetta driver in front was new at this series, and so he was very worried about the start and said he would leave some room, and you know, he didn't want to push too hard. But some other cars around me thought they could get through a lot quicker, and it all got a bit messy on turn 2, coming to turn 5. The Ginetta slowed up, and the one on the left hand behind me didn't see it. I slowed up, he pushed me on into the back of the other. I hit the brakes, skidded, tried to miss him, but caught the rear of his car and the front headlamp of my car.
At the end of the first lap, 2 cars already in the pits, while Stuart Hall in the 237 Stratton Aston Martin, who started from 10th, has worked his way to the lead. That lead was short-lived though, recurring electrical problems keeping the car coming back to the pit crew. And they're not the only team that have recurring problems.
We have a problem when you drive, the RPM doesn't go high, and we have no power. I think one sensor or something, or the fuel pump.
The 303 lost a lot of time in the earlier accident. Now they're cruising in neutral into the Panta fuel station.
We just pushed the limits to the fuel because we had to take every chance and every opportunity to make up time. And we miscalculated by about 400 meters. So I ran out of fuel at turn 12, put it in neutral, got to the top of the hill, and then rolled all the way down to the fuel pumps. So yeah, we were lucky.
The 24 Horas de Barcelona is also the Trofeo Fermín Vélez. This honours the Spanish double 12 Hour of Sebring winner, who was also twice a world sports car champion.
Fermín Vélez was a very good driver who died several years ago, and his mom is let's say working on jewelry, and he was riding, Fermín was driving those series, those 24 hours several times, and when he died, his family decided to join us, and the circuit offered them the possibility to give his name because of their great results on the international competition.
It's not just the Vélez name that is on the trophy. The trophy itself and awarding it is a family matter too.
His mom is building every year the trophy, and he's giving to the winner the special trophy, call it Fermín Vélez trophy.
Darkness falls on the Catalan track. The 215 Ginetta of NM Racing has been leading for a long time, ahead of the Team Blake-Molen 100 Seat, still hard on their heels. But just before halfway, the Poporo KH7 Seat has taken over the lead. Sometimes after problems, the car can return to the pits under its own power. Other issues needs Marshall's assistance.
I went into the last corner and suddenly the rear axle broke down. We had the same problem on the other side yesterday in the afternoon. And yeah, but the team is doing a very great job, and I think we can fix it and go on the track again.
The number 7 Seat didn't enjoy the lead for very long on board the 107. There's the 7 hitting the gravel, and when it got back to the pits, the extent of the damage became clear. The lead now in the hands of veteran team Blake-Molen.
We are always at the front, and in this series is so nice because so competitive, special this weekend. You see everybody's close together, the same lap times, and yeah, we keep going together.
Daylight returning to the Catalan circuit.
It's fabulous. It's absolutely fantastic. Yeah, I mean, it's probably the best stint, and of course, it's a bit of luck that you get it. We don't really plan it that way. It just happened to be my turn. But yeah, I've done that stint a couple of times, and it's just a lovely thing to see.
In endurance racing, sometimes you have issues with brake pads, gears, or even windscreens. Other times, the cause of a problem not so clear.
The engine doesn't work. I can push the throttle, but nothing works. They put me to the box and they solved the problem, but I don't know exactly really what it was.
I was coming onto T10 braking area. I stepped on the brake, I heard a big bang, and the car kind of shuddered. I made the turn, accelerated, and it kind of ground to a halt. And it looks like the suspension has collapsed, so bad luck for us.
Closing in on the finish of the race, the 235 has a comfortable lead in the Cup 1 class, but a broken brake disc has brought them into the pits. Will this cost them their lead?
I don't know, actually. There are 2 cars in our class, and we was the first place, but I don't know actually how we can fix the problem. Decided. I don't know.
Lots of excitement in the final stages of the race, but after twice around the clock, the local entrants NM Racing team have taken home the Trofeo Fermi Falez. On the top step for the Hankook 24 Hours of Barcelona, the Barcelona-based NM Racing team. After 643 laps, just a 44-second advantage over second place Blake & Molan with their number 100 Seat. Third, another Barcelona-based team, Monlau Competition. Dutch team Blake & Molan takes the TCR class with their Seat. The SP3 GT4 category was a race of attrition. That didn't stop NM Racing winning the race and that class. Even with a broken brake disc, the duo BMW number 235 kept its lead in the Cup 1 class. Synchro Motorsport takes the A3 class victory. And at the top of the A2 class, Hofor-Racing with their number 71 BMW. More touring car races to come, but next we're back with the prototypes. The most famous circuit in Belgium is Spa-Francorchamps, best known for hosting the Belgian Grand Prix. This 7-kilometre long track in the Ardennes forest takes its layout and its character by following the local hills and terrain. In qualifying, the number 3 from Simpson took pole position.
Yes, we have pole position. It was a good lap. It was only my 3rd lap this weekend in this car because of the wet and the short practices. And it wasn't a wet, so it was quite interesting, but we are happy with the pole position.
Setting pole, not the most important thing for an endurance race.
Not really, no, because it's a 5-hour race, and there's 4 pit stops, there's fuel stops, there's driver changes. So whether you start 1st or 5th, the difference of 2 or 3 seconds, it's more about surviving the first lap, keeping out of trouble.
The green flag for a warm-up lap that commenced on the Old Main Straight. The field will come round to the line on the new start-finish after the bus stop. It's the start of the first of 2 5 hours of Spa-Francorchamps events. Lights are out, and not just the prototypes, but also a couple of GT cars are taking on this wet track. Wet track means a slippery track, as Jordan Sanders in the number 5 Ginetta finds out when, just behind the trees, he spins off track.
It's a shame of how the race had to end. It was just a simple mistake on Jordan's behalf. He's, you know, these things happen in motorsport. It was just a slight overcorrection at the top of Eau Rouge, which ended up in contact with a barrier, doing a substantial amount of damage to the car, which is unfortunately unfixable.
As we come back to racing speed, the Simpson number 3 takes back the lead. As we can see from the spray, it's still very wet out there, and it's going to get even wetter.
Midway through my stint, it started really raining quite hard, and there was quite a few laps where it was aquaplaning a lot, and I was, you know, going down every straight just on half power, not even using full power, and the car sliding around everywhere. So it got pretty hairy for a couple laps.
There are a few drivers who haven't raced a prototype before. They're getting assistance from their teammates who have.
I have with me 2 very good drivers. They tried to help me quite a lot with the radio.
mostly explaining to me at the beginning that it was quite dangerous. But, well, after a while, they start to tell me, okay, go on, push. And, well, the score was here, it was decreasing, and it was marvelous.
Racing at Spa is great in the dry. The dry doesn't last long.
When I got in the car, it really started pouring down. So I heard on the radio that there was a lot of aquaplaning and things going on, so I took it very kind of cautiously for the first 10, 15 minutes till that rain eased off. Yeah, well, there's some pretty hairy areas, you know, standing water and stuff, because there's not a lot of cars on the track. It's not getting pushed away, so.
For me, it was amazing. It's my first race with the Porsche, and it's my first race in the rain. And I was really happy with the car. The car felt good. There was a lot of water on the track, so the car, even in the straights, was going from the left to the right. But I kept the throttle down, so even the prototypes were difficult to pass me. So I'm feeling happy with today. So I'm really happy.
They led from the start. The number 3 takes the checkered flag. At the end of the first of 2 races, Simpson Motorsport have completed a nice round century in their Ginetta G57. The Prime Racing number 4, 3 laps behind the race winner. Third, the number 8 Ligier, JSP3. That number 8 Ligier wins the class in P3, whilst in P2, Simpson number 3 is the class winner there, of course. Prime Racing number 4 second, Simpson number 2 third in class, with the number 5 of LNT unfortunately crashing, getting no points in 5th position. GT cars are in the SPS class, and that's the 78 Speed Lover who wins, with their sister 79 car 4 laps back in second. The second race at Spa starts slightly less wet than the first, though most cars are still on wet tyres. The pace car pulls off, and the Ginettas, Ligier and Porsches are getting ready for the second of the 2 times 5 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. The lights are off and the car's revs rise. The number 3 Simpson once again taking the lead early. The number 8 second overall, battling problems with brakes.
Yeah, the guys decided to put me in for the start of the race. Unfortunately, we were bedded in brake pads for the first 2 or 3 laps of the race, so I had to be a bit conservative for 2 laps. Kept second position, which was nice, and the leader pulled a bit of a gap on me, maybe 10, 15 seconds, and then the brake pads came in, and by lap 4 we were very, very quick.
Whilst most cars did start on wet, the Porsche GTs started on slicks.
It was a good decision. Of course, we knew that it would be difficult in the beginning, and it was. The first half an hour was really, really difficult and tricky. But once we managed to keep the pace the first half an hour, afterwards it got drier and drier. Still not completely dry, but I think it was good we didn't lose any time changing tyres.
The GT cars joining this race for the first time was deemed a success, and from 2018, GT competitors and prototype racers will be combined. More on that later on. The number 2 Simpson car had problems early on, but Mike is catching up.
We've come from the back and we're up now, I think, into 3rd overall, so it put us in good contention and very fast laps with Steve. So we'll lose a little bit in the pit stops because we're out of sync a little, but gives me a chance for 2 hours to push, and maybe we can take 2nd overall. That will be the plan, I think.
The car that has led the race from the start is the number 3, their sister car.
I think we can win it. We have quite a big gap and only a couple of minutes to go, so we are quite confident that we can win the race.
11% more race laps completed due to the dry racing conditions. The Simpson number 3 has won this second race of the Hankook 2 times 5 hours of Spa-Francorchamps. Simpson Ginetta G57 has stamped its name on this event, 2 wins in 2 races. The number 8 of Monza Garage did climb back into 2nd spot, just 1 lap ahead of Prime Racing and the number 4 car. The number 8 took the trophy for the P3 category. The win in P2 went, of course, to the Simpson Motorsport number 3, Prime Racing number 4 second, Simpson number 2 in 3rd. The SPX class went very well for Speed Lovers number 78 Porsche. They took home the class trophy. Not so good for their sister car. The 79 went off track and ended the race in the pits. Not just the Protos at Spa, the touring cars too, and they're about to go racing. We're still at Francorchamps with, as well as the normal things you might expect in a Belgian village, also has a race drivers' chapel. It's a beautiful and historic building on the grounds of Château de Francorchamps. It's not just available to the drivers, but also open to the general public. Also open to the public and often free of charge, the 24-hour series races. Spa has two start-finish lines, the original one and the one alongside the new Formula One pit building. We're setting up here at the original one.
We just finished the second race of the Proto race series. That is in the other side, in the Formula One pit lane. That's why we're here now at the old part of the Formula One, of the old part of the circuit. This is where we have to start with, but the actual start is on the other side, on the Formula One pit lane.
The field have rolled from the old start-finish line, although it will be the new one where they see the green flag. But because Spa is such a long track, this three-quarter lap will be the warm-up, and that allows them to maximise their racing time, which due to noise regulations here at Spa is limited. The lights are off, the race has commenced. It's not raining, but the spray makes it clear that the track is still wet. Cautious driving still advisable.
Well, first laps were quite tough because, you know, you still need to get accounted to the wet conditions. You still need to find the limits, how fast you can go.
At the head of the field, the SP3 GT4 cars are battling, but with different classes. There are more battles throughout the field, including in the TCR class.
Yeah, very exciting, and we're off to a good start. We positioned the car well on quali. And the car was handling actually fantastic. Grip was good, the car was balanced.
And it doesn't take long before some cars are in need of attention from their pit crew.
And we had to restart the car while running, and it was not good to drive. We lost a lot of time during that, and then we decided to go to the pit and have a look at it and try to find and figure out what's the problem.
And now the tough choice. Do you go for slicks as the track is drying?
They asked me to change tires from rain tires to slicks, and I said, no, we don't need. And half an hour after, then it starts to rain.
This, however, has nothing to do with the slippery track.
Le pneu avant gauche a crevé. Malheureusement, la voiture a tiré.
At the front of the radio, he loses pressure in this wheel, and the car goes straight on in the wall.
And soon time to change back to wet tyres.
I never thought I would say this, but I really enjoyed it. I'm not really a big fan of wet conditions, but I actually thoroughly enjoyed it.
Treacherous conditions as the checkered flag falls to end this first part of the race.
Tomorrow we will just push again. We hope for more rain, because I think in the rain we are quite fast. So yeah, just let's see what happens tomorrow.
And as the cars pull up on the old start-finish straight for Parc Fermé overnight, let's take a look at the calendar for the 2018 Championships. As we look at the calendar, we see that the 24-hour Touring Car Endurance Series and the 24-hour Proto Series each have their own schedules. The 24-hour GT Series in the middle will drive with one of the other races. As we look at the schedules, one thing to notice is that all of the series have two championships. A three-race championship of the continents to be held in Asia in Dubai, in Europe at the Portimao race, and for the Americas it's the race at COTA in Austin, Texas. In the TCE European Championship, the races are at Silverstone, Imola, Portimao, Barcelona, and back here at Spa for the final race of 2018. The 24-hour GT series will have the same races for their Championship of the Continents, whilst their European events are at Silverstone, Navarra, Imola, Portimao, Barcelona, and also here at Spa. The 24-hour Proto Series have their Dubai, Portimao and COTA races for the Championship of the Continents. The European rounds for the prototype cars will be at Silverstone, Navarra and Portimao.
We saw the calendar being published today, and it's really looking great for 2018, yes.
Sunday morning, back on track and ready to restart the Hankook 12 Hours of Spa-Francorchamps. The lights are off, the race has recommenced where it left off last night. However, not all cars have managed to get off the starting grid.
No function the gas, no fuel, no? Can't push, just a little bit RPM, just 1500 RPM. We can go to the hill, so we can stop downhill before the Eau Rouge.
Ronnie Krant has a little extra airflow.
They told me on the radio, your back door is open, but I thought it just opens a bit, so it's not locked. But when I came in, I understand that my back door was completely open, and I've got a lot of air in the car. Yes.
Both KTM crossbows also in the race now. Action right through the field, making it very enjoyable for all of the drivers.
It was fantastic. The car was working so well, and we're doing absolutely top 3 lap times all the time in my stints, even on tires which were 3-4 hours old.
The 187 takes the lead in the A3 category.
Well, we had P1 and I think for about 30 seconds or something like that, and then the gearbox had a failure. So from P1 to P last in 30 seconds.
More rain at Spa, and the drivers keep on pushing.
When you feel good, you try to go more farther, and brake on the last moment. And at Les Combes, one time it was too late. Yeah.
But on a 7-kilometre circuit, the track conditions are not the same all the way round.
The conditions, as you see now, it's changing. It can be really heavy rain to just a little bit of rain, or getting dry, so you need to adapt a lot your driving to the conditions, and you need to feel the car as much as you can, really easy, try to get a feeling.
The 119 Seat of LMS Racing, powered by Racing, still chasing down the lead, but the first to cross the finish line is the 303 Red Camel Jordan.NL machine. However, a 60-second penalty applied after the race finish would swish those 2 cars on the podium. 2 Seats and a Mercedes occupy the top 3 overall, the 119 LMS Seat taking a 37-second victory after the penalty was applied to the 303 Red Camel racing car, which still ended up 2nd overall. The Mercedes AMG test team over Altran Automotive 211 Mercedes just another 14 seconds further back in 3rd. In SP3 GT4, the new Mercedes AMGs have proven their worth. The 211 takes the top step. In TCR, the top 6 all Seats, the overall leader, the 119, taking the class victory here. In the A3 class, the BRM Chronographs Trophy goes to the 132 of German Wheels team. In A2, the Renault 52 of Team Sally Racing takes home the win, a 2-lap victory. And in the Cup 1 BMW M235 I-Class, the Belgian team 192 JJ Motorsports take the category win. As darkness fell at Spa-Francorchamps, the championship winners for the 2017 season from all of the series and classes were honoured. Originally it was planned as an outside barbecue, but the Belgian weather conditions not quite up for that. Let's start with the standings in the 24-hour endurance series powered by Hankook. They weren't racing here this weekend at Spa, so not everyone was here, but some did make the trip for the championship celebrations. GT champions Hofor-Racing with their #1 Mercedes, the 85 Porsche for PROsport 2nd, the Ferrari of Scuderia Praha in 3rd. 2017 GT Drivers Champions Michael Kroll, Chantal Kroll, Kenneth Heyer, Christian Frankenhout and Roland Eggemann. Chantal Kroll was the Ladies Champion for 2017. Max Edelhoff took the Rookie of the Year. In touring cars, the 2017 champion, the number 308 Peugeot of Team Altran, their 908 sister car 2nd, with Cadspeed and their 108 car in 3rd. And the touring car drivers champions are Kim Holmgaard and Thierry Blaise. In the touring car endurance series powered by Hankook, Synchro Motorsport's 176 Honda clinched the championship here at Spa, 2nd the QSR 154, and jointly in 3rd position, Monlau Competition with their 107 entry and CWS with the 178. Drivers' champions in Touring Car Endurance Series were Martin Byford, Alan James and Dan Wheeler. Albacano Ramirez was Ladies' Champion, and she shares Rookie of the Year honours with Patrick Mathewson. In the 24-hour Prototype Endurance Series powered by Hankook, we have 2 championship-winning teams, points being scored in each of the classes. The Simpson Motorsport #3 and the Monza Garage #8 take the wins, with Prime Racing #4 2nd, Simpson Motorsport #2 in 3rd. And there's a long list of drivers on the top step of the championship podium. Congratulations to Rick Breukers, John Corbett, Andreas Lascaratos, James Winlow, Ben Tuck and Neil Muston. You can find the full list of winners on the standings page at 24hseries.com. And that brings the 2017 series to an end. For the Endurance Series, there's one last non-championship race. Actually, to be more precise, it's part of the Championship of the Continents. You'll be able to see that in one of our other highlight shows. We'll be back for the 2018 season in January at Dubai, all 3 championships competing. And if you'd like to visit or race in one of the championships, go to 24hseries.com, where you'll find information for all 3 of the Creventic series.